Claire Morrison was no stranger to solitude. Ever since moving into the old house on Willow Lane, she'd chosen isolation, a career that demanded travel, an earlier breakup that taught her not to tether her heart to anyone, and the belief that people only complicated life. She preferred the quiet hum of her home, books on the shelves, candles flickering at night, and the steady drip of rain against the windows during a storm. The day began like any other, but as dusk approached, a low rumble of thunder signaled a change. The sky darkened, and rain began pounding the roof and patio doors, creating a drumbeat that harmonized with Claire's thoughts. She stood in the kitchen, stirring a pot of vegetable soup, hoping to warm both her body and soul. The scent of simmering tomatoes, carrots, and fresh herbs filled the air, providing comfort against the growing storm outside. Just as she lowered the heat to let the soup gently bubble, there it was. A sharp, faint knock against the large glass patio door. It echoed through the kitchen, freezing Claire mid-stir. Her heart rate spiked. She gently leaned in, peering through the rain-blurred glass. A man stood there, his features blurred by rain and darkness, but Claire could make out how thin he was. His clothes hung off him in tattered wet sheets, his hair plastered to his scalp. He knocked again, more insistently, eyes drifting to the doorknob as though pleading for her to let him in. Panic flickered in his gaze. Claire's first instinct was fear. Every horror movie she'd ever watched came rushing back, strangers who knock, shadows who enter. She stared at him through the glass, her breath fogging a small circle. He didn't look aggressive. In fact, the way he shifted his weight, bowed his head, it was almost shameful. Depressing. Something inside her twisted at the sight. Her instinct to shut the curtains screamed louder. But a voice inside whispered, "What if he's cold, scared?" Claire unlocked her phone on the counter and stared at the screen. No signal. Standard, for a remote house. The only call she could make was to her voicemail. She set the phone aside. It was the rain. It had to be. He just looked like he might freeze. She slid the glass door open a few inches. "Are you okay?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. He didn't flinch. He looked up, meeting her gaze for the first time. His eyes were dark pools of exhaustion and something more, something that made her spine stiffen. I'm sorry," he croaked. The raspy whisper sounded like a faraway storm. "Can I dry off? Just use the shower. I won't do anything else." Claire's rational mind barked, "No. Don't do it." He might, but a wave of empathy crashed down on her. Maybe it was that electric crack of lightning outside, or the unrelenting rumble. Maybe it was lonely season, that time after 3 weeks on the road and no one to call. She sighed, stepped aside, and gestured to the hallway. "Okay," she said, voice low. "Just the bathroom." She paused. "Then you go. Promise?" He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded once. "I swear." Claire closed the door behind him and leaned her forehead against the cool wood. Her heart pounded. What if he had a weapon? What if she'd just invited a stranger into her home? She took a deep breath and turned back to the soup, adding a pinch of salt as a way to calm herself. After a minute passed, and she heard the shower start, the steady hiss of water offered a small relief. He was in the bathroom. She was safe, for now. But then the water cut out. Claire froze. She hadn't planned on giving him a full shower, but still, this felt quick. But maybe his water ran out. Maybe he was considerate. She tried to calm her mind. It's fine. He's okay. She watched the clock. 5 minutes. 10. 15. She hummed to herself, washing a bowl at the sink. The storm outside seemed to intensify. Thunder boomed above. A lamp flickered in the living room. She took a sip of cold soup, listening for any telltale sound. After 20 minutes, there was no movement, no sound beyond dripping water. She knocked on the bathroom door. "Excuse me? Everything okay in there?" No answer. Claire's fists tightened. She knocked harder. Still nothing. She stood there, listening. The dripping stopped. She thought she heard rustling. Clothes moving inside. She backed away. She grabbed a fireplace poker that sat beside the hearth for emergencies. She steeled herself, it could be nothing, or it could be everything. She edged down the hallway, lit only by the emergency light above the bathroom. She paused at the door and tried again. "Hey! If you need help, say something." Silence. Claire dared peek inside. The bathroom was empty. Tiles glistened, towels damp. But no sign of him. Her breath caught. How did he vanish? She retraced her steps. The front door? Locked from the inside. Windows? Closed tight. All furniture remained where she left it. No loud footsteps, no slam of a door. She took a careful step in, scanning the room, the shower stall, tub, small window near the ceiling. Foggy. Closed. No sign of him. Something brushed behind her. She spun, shining the poker into the hallway. Dark. Empty. Her heart raced for a moment, then calmed only slightly with relief. She lowered her guard, and then something caught her eye. On the floor near the linen closet was a muddy footprint. One. Big. Damp. Barely faded, the sole of a boot pressed into the mat. Wet mud. It didn't belong in her house. She crouched, touched it. Smudged it slightly, revealing moist earth beneath. This was impossible. She hadn't seen him. She locked every door and window. Maybe he slipped on the rain-soaked tiles and ran off through an open window, but none had been open. And the front door remained locked. Her pulse pounded. She scrolled through her phone, no signal. No help. She was alone with a possible intruder. And right now, someone. Or something, was inside, hidden, watching. She called out again, voice shaking. "Who's there? Come out." A laugh. Almost musical. Soft, but chilling. It echoed through the hallway, bouncing off walls. It wasn't a laugh of humor, it was something else. A sound of satisfaction. Claire's breath caught. She gripped the poker. "Show yourself." Nothing. Then she heard breathing, slow, measured, coming from above. The attic stairs. Nobody had entered those in years, they were sealed near the ceiling of the hallway. The single ladder remained folded, its door closed. Claire looked up, dread creeping under her skin. She lifted the attic door's hatch. It was locked. She stared at it, tension coiling in her gut. The breathing stopped. A distant thunderclap rattled windows. The power flickered. Darkness enveloped the upper hallway except for a fade of light from the bathroom. Claire's throat went dry. She swallowed hard. She set the poker down. She couldn't climb up blindly. Not alone. She needed light. She dashed to the kitchen drawer and grabbed a small tactical flashlight. She flicked it on, a narrow, bright beam. She clicked out a short line of salt from the kitchen and held the flashlight in one hand, the salt packet loosely in the other. She paced back to the attic hatch. "Hey," she yelled, voice cracking. "I've called the police. They're on their way. Come down." She waited. 10 seconds. Brownout. Rain pounded louder against the glass. She listened. Nothing. Gathering courage, she inserted her palm in the hatch's latch. It yielded, creaking open. It swung down on its hinges. The attic ladder slumped slowly toward her. Claire gripped the flashlight. Light speared upward. The ladder's rungs were wet and muddy. A bruise in the wood told of weight. It was real. Her heart pounded so hard she feared it would burst. She tried to swallow away a sudden dryness in her mouth. She shivered. Not from cold but from the stark reality of being face to face with a stranger in her home. A man who vanished in the shower. A man who laughed in the dark. A man who climbed upstairs and waited. She flicked the beam upward, illuminating dust motes. A space filled with cardboard boxes, old furniture, wood beams. It soaked up the light like a cave. Cold air wafted past her face. A movement. A silhouette above. A shadow shifting between boxes on the floor above. Something low, then still. A face, perhaps? The beam caught a wet cheek, then a glint of an eye. Breathing resumed. A low exhale that sounded too deliberate, too intentional to be fear. Claire gasped and stumbled back. The ladder slammed closed behind her, as if someone above had jerked it shut. Her flashlight flickered in shock, casting stray beams. Then nothing. Silence. She backed away, clutching the flashlight. The bathroom door creaked. It stood open, tub dripping. Rain pounded. Thunder shook the house. Claire searched the hallway's dim glow. No one. She thought of the laughing, but no, that was gone. Her hands shook. She had choices: secure herself in a room, call the police with someone else's phone, escape the house. But the storm? The night? She knew she needed a plan. She tiptoed to the kitchen, eyes darting. She grabbed her car keys and phone. Not to call, still no signal, but to be ready in case they came. She turned slowly, facing the hallway. Something felt wrong. She scanned the ceiling. No attic hatch now. The ladder, gone. Her breath caught. A scent filled the air, earthy, wet, like a forest floor after rain. But inside her house. Her soup pot boiled over, splashing the stove in a sizzling hiss. She exhaled, grabbed a kitchen towel, turned off the burner. The room went eerily still. Her reflection in the darkened oven door stared back, pale, frightened. And then, a movement. Quick. Out of the corner of her eye. Behind the corner where the stairs to the attic once were. A shape slipped past. Dark. No distinct features. She whipped her flashlight toward it but nothing appeared. She screamed, voice echoing in the cramped hall. She sprinted to the front door and tried the lock. It stayed shut. Rusty but intact. Good. Her back pressed against the solid wood. What had she done? She let a stranger inside. Now this presence lurked somewhere in her house. Who was he? A burglar? A stalker? Something worse? Rain battered the front door. She pressed her ear against the wood. Could she hear footsteps on the upper floor? No. Just the storm. Her heart raced as sweat formed on her forehead. She stood frozen, listening. Then came another laugh, around a corner, from above, maybe from walls. A low chuckle that set her blood ice cold. She clenched her jaw, raised the flashlight like a weapon. Then silence. Claire closed her eyes. The flashlight drooped. Her mind raced. What did he want? To hurt her? Or was he, lost? Traumatized? Insane? She told herself, he's upstairs. Hiding. He's angry you trapped him. You need help. She pressed the lock tighter. A crash. Something heavy fell upstairs. The sound thundered through the house, home surge across the ceiling. She gasped. Stood there like a rabbit in headlights. No. She was done being afraid. Claire backed up, planting her feet. She scanned the kitchen for a weapon, a cast-iron skillet, heavy pepper grinder. She grabbed a pair of scissors. Not ideal, but better than nothing. She inhaled, centering herself. So the intruder is upstairs. She could run through the storm, get to a neighbor's house, but too risky. She could lock herself in the bedroom and wait. Reinforce the door, call the cops once she finds a signal. Wait until morning. She could confront him upstairs, but what if it's two of them? What if he attacks? She looked at the clock. Night had fully closed in. 11 o'clock. The storm showed no sign of letting up. Her phone still read, "No service." She tapped it once more. Nothing. She needed a plan. Claire took a deep breath and slid into the hallway, moving slowly, scissors in hand. She'd go upstairs, tiptoe, flashlight low, reach the attic, pull him out. She approached the staircase to the second floor. It was carpeted, but old wood creaked underfoot. At the top landing, she resisted the urge to tremble. She called out, "This house is under watch. Make this easy. Come outside. Come downstairs. I won't hurt you." Nothing. Another crash, this time close. Like a box tipping. She swallowed hard. She took a step toward the attic door in the hall. A kid's toy rolling down the steps would have made far less noise than the last crash did up here. Still, she moved. She flicked her light on the door, no latch. A regular door. This was odd. She turned the knob, locked. She pulled anyway. The door didn't budge. Confusion burned. Wait, last she'd seen, the hatch was there. The attic access panel was near the kitchen. Now there's a door here? My head's messing with me. She stood, disoriented, vision swimming. Then the breathing started again. Behind the door. Slow. Patient. Close. Claire slammed her shoulder into the door. It held. She tried a hard shout. "Come out. Now." Silence. She drew back, heart pounding, hair damp with sweat. A single, soft knock on the door, on the other side. A deliberate rap, like someone polite but amused. Claire froze. The knock came again. A faint whisper. "Don't be afraid." Her blood ran cold. Claire's pulse tore through her ears, a fast drumbeat in her chest. One side of the upstairs hallway, where she remembered seeing no door, now held a solid white door with a brass knob. Its presence was impossible. She had lived here and never once noticed it. And now, here it was, mocking her certainty. "Don't be afraid," came the voice again. Soft. Calm. Almost soothing, as though addressing a frightened child, not a grown woman armed with scissors and rage. Her mind battled itself. Is it him? The homeless man? Or something else? Either way, she felt trapped between terror and curiosity. Should she flee? Should she rush in? The night offered no clear path. She ran her thumb alongside the polished door frame. The wood was cold to the touch, smooth and well finished. She inhaled sharply. Who are you?" she stammered. Her voice cracked, the sound echoing down the hallway. The storm beyond rattled the windows, a reminder that no one else was coming, at least not tonight. A pause. "I'm someone who wants to help you," the voice said. Claire laughed, hollow, bitter. "By hiding in my home, breaking in, and scaring me half to death." She advanced, raising scissors defensively. "Come out now." Silence. Then a whisper, "Open the door." Claire's heart spiked. She shook her head. Why? What do you want? Trust, the voice replied. Just a few minutes. I'm not your enemy. She narrowed her eyes. Enemies don't whisper like that, do they? But fear had her shivering in a way more than the cold. Was this some prank? A deranged burglar? The homeless man, maybe harmless, but unpredictable? She took a half-step back. Tell me one reason I should open the door. Because time's running out. Claire froze. Time? Downstairs, opening the hatch, the voice hesitated, or up here, it doesn't matter really, you're running out of time. Claire froze. A cold ripple of dread traveled up her spine. Running out of time, for what? She glanced down the hall toward the master bedroom at the far end. Inside were the window shutters, closed tight. Her cell still showed no service. No calling help yet. The storm still raged outside. Still, she couldn't leap into the unknown. She bit her lip, steeling herself. Show yourself first. A creak beyond the door. A step. The knob rattled, then stopped. Claire edged back, flashlight pointed at the door, every muscle tight as a drawn bow. Then, the knob clicked. The door swung open a crack, no more than 2 inches. A pale, gaunt face peered out. Eyes dark, wide, unfamiliar. Yet strangely familiar. Like someone she once knew, childhood friend? No, stranger. He had the same soaked clothes as the man downstairs. Mud clung to his arms, and in the poor hall light, Claire glimpsed a tattoo on his wrist, rough handwriting, a name she couldn't quite read. Who are you? She hissed. Her feet slid slightly on the carpet. I didn't mean to scare you, he said. His voice deeper than the one downstairs, more measured. Name's Thomas. I helped you earlier. Claire froze. That name didn't match the man who led her upstairs. More confusion. 2 of you? Thomas shook his head. Not exactly. Her brain spun. Which one of you is in my house? She demanded. Her voice shook despite herself. The flashlight beam wavered. Thomas closed the door, then reopened it slightly. Both. Me and my friend. He's in a bad place. But it's my fault. Claire took a shuddering breath. The night stretched on. She studied him, he looked exhausted, maybe 2 or 3 days without proper sleep. His clothes were sodden, his face unshaven, punctured by shadows. Yet his posture was oddly calm, almost resigned. Why are you hiding up here? She whispered. Thomas closed the door fully and leaned against it. He's unstable. I didn't want to come down. I needed time to think. Claire shook her head. Think? You're breaking into my home the middle of the night. 1 minute a man asks for a shower, then disappears, and another is whispering riddles. Thomas ran a hand through his wet hair. It wasn't supposed to go like this. He looked her in the eyes. Just, give me 5 minutes. I'll go. I'll help you lock everything up again. Let me call someone, my sister. She can come get me. He's dangerous. Claire gripped the scissors tighter. Her heart hammered. 5 minutes to what? She weighed her options. She could lock him in the hallway. She could flee downstairs. But the hatch was gone, the front door locked, and the storm howling outside. This upstairs hallway, between 2 rooms, was her only vantage. Why not use a phone? She demanded. Thomas's face tensed. No signal up here. It works in the kitchen. Claire's stomach clenched. If she let him out here, everything could go wrong again. But she also thought of his eyes, honest, haunted. She swallowed and squared her shoulders. Fine. 5 minutes. Then we figure out what happens. His relief was almost visible. He nodded, pushed back the door, and hung back. Claire motioned him forward. He stepped in, and she edged past him, slowly, scanning the hallway. His phone flashlight lit the path. He moved carefully to the kitchen stairs. Claire watched him. Her mind raced. Don't trust him. But maybe he's telling truth. She felt guilt. She was safer locking him upstairs than sheltering him. But guilt warred with logic. The night air roared outside, powerless and unhelpful. Thomas disappeared downstairs. Claire followed, keeping the scissors raised, then set them on the kitchen counter once they reached the living area. Thomas knelt by the phone and tried to get it to work. Lightning flashed outside. The tap dripped in the bathroom. The air smelled of rain, damp wood, something like thyme from her soup. Comforting, yet tainted by fear. He tried dialing. The phone rang, music tone, then stopped. Ugh, voicemail. Claire exhaled. Great. Thomas shook his head. I can try again tomorrow. If I could just. I don't know. He looked at her. Eyes locked hers. Claire felt the tension crack open. Fatigue. Despair. She stepped forward. Do you want dinner? Or water? Thomas nodded, silent. She poured him a glass of water and some soup in a bowl, hands shaking. He took it gratefully. Ate a few spoonfuls, staring at the floor. Thanks, he said on a soft exhale. Claire watched him. Her fear simmered, replaced by pity. She sat opposite, arms crossed. Tell me everything, she demanded. He looked up. A deep sigh. My friend, he's been homeless for years. Lives under bridges. I didn't know him well. Truth is, I just moved here, not too far from you. And I saw him through the storm. He knocked, I helped. I thought I'd handle him, keep him safe. But he snapped. Claire swallowed the lump in her throat. What did he do? He broke down. Started saying things. Talking to shadows. Hurt me. Claire's breath caught. Physically hurt you? Thomas nodded, voice suddenly low. Yes. He looked away. Not badly. But I walked away, come here, and now he's in your house. Claire stared. Why come to me? Thomas hesitated. He told me there's something under your house. Something, he said he's seen it. Heard it. Felt it. A basement? Claire said incredulously. I don't have one. Thomas shook his head. It's more than a basement. Something old. Something dark. He was referring to it when I found him. He said he had to clean it. He said he needed to go in there. Claire felt prickle across her skin. Clean it? What do you mean? Thomas wiped his brow. He's unwell. But this place, it triggers him. That's why he came to the attic. Hiding. He wants down. Wants inside. Okay, Claire said. Her head throbbed. But that doesn't explain the attic door. It wasn't there before. Thomas paused, staring at the framed photo on the living room wall of Claire smiling next to her cat. That door, it shouldn't be here. Claire's voice cracked with confusion. Thomas swallowed. Then said, voice low, neither should I. Claire's blood ran cold. What are you saying? Thomas flinched, hurt behind his eyes. He reached inside his damp jacket and pulled out a half-torn Polaroid. He placed it on the table. Claire took it. A single photo, blurred. The attic hatch. She climbing down. Thomas behind her, hand on her shoulder. In the background, her front door. Familiar. But in the picture, the front door was open. Rain pouring in. "What?" she said. Why do I have this?" Thomas whispered, "You don't remember?" Claire shook her head, tears pooling. "No." Thomas looked at her with a mournful calm. "That was 2 nights ago." Claire dropped the photo. It fluttered to the floor, image facing up. She rushed to pick it and stared at the attic, staring back at her. She remembered climbing that hatch once, only once, years ago. Curiosity. Empty attic. Closed it immediately. No ladder. No door. Nothing. Just dusty boxes. But here, evidence of him? Of her? Of this? "My head, something's wrong," she whispered, voice quivering. She sank into the couch. Thomas knelt beside her. "Claire, I think you've been sleepwalking." Claire stared. "Sleepwalking? That's insane." He nodded. "The night before, that's when he came. We came together. I told him it was a bad idea. But you let him in. We argued. He hit me. I ran away. And today, I went back to bring him to treatment. He slipped in again. I got upstairs to stop him. That's when I found the door. We hid. I stayed with you to make sure he didn't go crazy again. But when it happened, I couldn't hold him." Claire's eyes filled. "But this morning I woke up in my bed. No sign of a fight. No recollection of finding you." Thomas sighed, wiping tears from his face. "You blacked out. You've been functioning, but asleep. You have a condition, triggered by loss. Stress. Something's messing with your memory." Her head swam. She forced herself to breathe. What about him? The homeless man?" Thomas shook his head. "He's up there now. You need to go upstairs, tell him to leave. Or he'll look for the thing downstairs." Claire closed her eyes. She could feel the attic's pull. Each breath filled her with dread and curiosity. She looked at Thomas. You'll come with me?" He stood. "Yes." Claire stood, bracing herself. She grabbed the lightweight pepper grinder from the kitchen. Thomas took the poker. They ascended silently to the attic break. Each stair creaked beneath their weight. At the hatch, Claire eyed it warily. She unclasped it. The ladder slumped down again, muddy rungs glistening. She gasped. She raised the flashlight and climbed up. Thomas followed close. Inside, boxes and old furniture stared back. But in the flickering beam they spotted him, crouched behind old crates. The homeless man, soaked and wild-eyed, rocking slightly. He looked up. Bare feet. Wet clothes. He had a black plastic bag in front with something protruding, a handle, glinting. Claire's breath ceased. He sprang up. "The thing's down there. We have to finish." Claire gripped the grinder. "What are you talking about?" He ignored her, focused on climbing higher into the attic's upper corner. Thomas stepped forward. The man raised the handle, it was the edge of a shovel. "Thomas, leave him," Claire said softly, stomach in knots. Thomas ducked behind a pile of boxes. "Go downstairs. I'll get him out." Claire shook her head. "No. Doesn't make sense. We need to know what's in the basement." The man laughed, a broken sound. "You'll help us finish it." Claire realized he meant violent. "We're not doing anything violent. You need help." He advanced. She backed away toward the hatch. Thomas swung the poker and hit his leg. The man stumbled, dropped the shovel, but lunged at Thomas. Claire shined the light around, saw the attic door to the small dormer window slightly open, rain dripping in. She darted to the front and locked eyes with Thomas and the man locked in a shuffle. A loud crash, boxes falling. The attic flash flickered. The man grabbed a plank and swung it at Thomas, knocking him down. Claire gasped, shining the light on Thomas curled on the floor. She yelled. Scared, unsure what to do, heart racing, she swung the pepper grinder, and her world tipped. Claire's hand shook as she gripped the pepper grinder, heart pounding so loud it felt like it would burst through her ribs. The intruder, this desperate, wild-eyed man, was swinging a wooden plank wildly, aiming for Thomas who lay on the attic floor, groaning. Get away from him! Claire screamed, swinging the grinder like a makeshift club. Her first hit landed awkwardly on the man's arm, causing him to stumble back and howl in pain. Thomas groaned again, pushing himself up with shaky hands. Claire, the ladder, he rasped, struggling to his feet. The man roared and lunged at Thomas again. Claire's breath caught. She glanced toward the attic hatch and saw the rain pouring in through the open dormer window, lightning illuminating the cramped space. Her eyes darted. The intruder's gaze was wild but desperate, almost pleading. You don't understand, he snarled. It's down there. We have to finish it, or it will come back. Finish what? Claire demanded, voice trembling but firm. He swung the plank once more, and this time Thomas barely dodged the blow. The basement, the man spat out. There's something beneath this house. Something old and angry. I've seen it. Heard it whispering in the walls. It's why I came back. We have to clean it. Claire felt her skin crawl. She had never known her home held a secret this deep. She took a step back, careful not to lose her footing on the rickety attic floorboards. Thomas brushed off dirt and stood up straighter, placing himself between Claire and the intruder. Listen, we're not going anywhere near the basement tonight. You're hurting people, scaring them, and that has to stop. The man's eyes flickered with madness. You don't get it. It's not about scaring anyone. It's about survival. That thing down there wants to spread. It's a curse. A loud crack echoed through the attic as a heavy beam above groaned under the storm's fury. Claire's heart skipped a beat. The old house was fragile, just like the tense situation unfolding above. Suddenly, the intruder lunged again, faster this time. Thomas barely raised his arm in defense when Claire shouted, "Stop!" For a moment, everything froze. Rain tapping like frantic fingers on the roof, the thunder crashing outside, and the three of them locked in this attic battle. Claire's voice softened, "Tell me. Tell us everything you know. No more violence. Please." The man blinked, his breath ragged, eyes wild but searching for something in hers. "Fine," he whispered. "But you have to promise me you'll help. Or none of us get out alive." The story beneath the house. The man sank onto an old wooden crate, exhaustion crashing down like the storm outside. "My name's Sam," he said, voice low and raw. "I'm the one you saw earlier. The homeless man." Claire exchanged a glance with Thomas, relief mingling with confusion. Sam took a shaky breath. This house wasn't always safe. It's built over something dark. When I was younger, I worked construction nearby, and they found artifacts. Old carvings, bones buried deep. No one wanted to talk about it. Then people started disappearing. Folk said it was a curse, an ancient evil trapped underground. Thomas nodded solemnly. I heard the stories, too. But it's more than that. The land's been tainted for generations. People who live here sometimes lose their minds or vanish without explanation. Claire's mind raced. Why tell me this now? What happened to you? Sam's eyes darkened. I saw it. Not just a story. I saw the shadows moving beneath the floorboards. Heard whispers calling my name. I came back here to stop it, to finish the curse. Thomas looked at Claire. And that door you saw upstairs? The one that wasn't there before? Sam nodded. It's a seal. Something the builders put in place long ago. It's been weakening. The hatch isn't just a storage space, it's a gateway. Claire swallowed hard. A gateway? To what? Thomas added quietly, we don't know. But whatever it is, it's waking up. Descent into darkness. Claire's breath trembled as she looked at the small attic hatch. Memories surfaced. Of that night years ago, when she'd heard strange noises and brushed them off as her imagination. Now, everything felt sinister. We have to see, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. No, Sam said sharply. It's too dangerous. But Thomas looked at her, eyes steady. We can't keep running from this. Whatever it is, it's tied to this house, to you. Claire's fear warred with curiosity, but deep down, she knew what she had to do. She reached for the latch and pulled it open, the ladder creaking under her weight as she climbed up again. Thomas and Sam followed, and together, they climbed down into the basement for the first time in years. The basement, a place forgotten. Cold, damp, and heavy with the scent of earth and rot, the basement air hit Claire like a wall. The flashlight barely pierced the darkness. She felt something ancient watching, lurking just beyond sight. The walls were lined with rough stone, damp patches gleaming faintly in the flickering light. Carvings adorned the stones, strange symbols, twisting and turning like snakes, interlaced with faces screaming silently. Sam's voice was a low whisper. These are wards, meant to keep something contained. Claire reached out, brushing a hand over the carvings. Her skin tingled as if the walls were alive, breathing with a presence older than time. Why now? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Sam shuddered. Because the seal is breaking. Every storm weakens it. Every person who ignores it brings danger closer. Suddenly, a cold wind gusted through the basement, extinguishing their flashlights. The darkness closed in, suffocating. Claire's heart pounded louder than ever. She reached for Thomas's hand. We need to get out, Thomas said. No, Claire whispered, stepping forward. I need to see. The heart of the curse. Their eyes adjusted to the dark, and the flickering light of a single lantern Sam lit cast eerie shadows on the walls. In the center of the basement floor was a large stone slab, cracked and ancient. Beneath it, a faint pulsing glow emanated, almost like a heartbeat. Sam knelt beside it. This is it. The source. Claire bent down to look closer. The glow was mesmerizing, shifting colors like liquid fire beneath the stone. What happens if it breaks? She asked, voice trembling. Chaos, Sam replied. Death. Madness. Suddenly, the stone cracked, a sharp groan like metal tearing echoed through the basement, and a shadow emerged, blacker than night, twisting and writhing with malevolent intent. Claire screamed, stepping back as the shadow grew, filling the basement with darkness. Thomas grabbed her arm. Run. The fight for survival. The shadow lunged toward them, tendrils reaching like living smoke. Claire, Sam, and Thomas scrambled back, desperate to avoid its grasp. Claire grabbed a broken piece of wood, swinging it wildly. The shadow recoiled with a hiss. Sam pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside were strange herbs and ancient runes. We have to seal it again, he shouted, scattering the contents over the cracked stone slab. Thomas joined in, chanting words none of them understood, but the air shifted, heavy with magic, old and powerful. The shadow shrieked, struggling against the wards. Claire felt the walls shake, the house itself groaning under the strain. Finally, with a blinding flash of light, the shadow screamed and vanished, sealed once more beneath the stone. Dawn's quiet light. The first light of dawn filtered into the basement, casting away the shadows. Claire sank to the floor, exhausted but alive. Thomas smiled faintly. "We did it." Sam nodded. "For now." Claire looked at them, tears streaming. "Why me? Why this house?" Thomas looked at her with gentle eyes. "Because you're connected. Something in your bloodline ties you here. You're the guardian now." Claire's world shifted. She was no longer just a woman with a locked door mystery, she was the keeper of secrets, of a darkness she never imagined. The storm passed outside, leaving the world washed clean but changed forever. Claire sat on the cold basement floor, her mind spinning like the storm that had just passed. The dawn light filtered weakly through the tiny basement window, casting long shadows on the walls, but even the sun's glow couldn't chase away the chill that clung to her bones. The shadow beneath the stone slab was sealed for now, but Claire knew it wasn't gone forever. And now she had a responsibility she never asked for, a burden heavier than any she had carried before. Thomas sat beside her, quiet but alert. Sam, the man who had appeared out of nowhere and upended her life, leaned against the wall, exhaustion etched on his face. "You're the guardian," Thomas repeated quietly. "It's your bloodline. Your ancestors made the pact that sealed the darkness. And now, it's up to you to keep the seal intact." Claire swallowed hard. "I don't even know how to do that." Thomas looked at her with a calm certainty that almost convinced her. "You'll learn. We all will." A legacy revealed. Claire's first thought was to understand her bloodline better. That evening, after they emerged from the basement and barricaded the hatch again, Claire sat at her old wooden desk, poring over family albums, old letters, and faded documents she had long ignored. Among the dusty papers, she found an old journal. The cover was cracked, but the handwriting inside was clear, delicate but firm. It belonged to her great-grandmother, Evelyn, who had lived in the house during the early 1900s. Evelyn's journal was full of warnings, accounts of strange noises, unexplained disappearances in the neighborhood, and desperate attempts to keep the house safe. Her writing spoke of a secret chamber beneath the basement, a hidden room where rituals were performed to strengthen the seal. Claire read with growing fascination and dread. Evelyn described a pendant, an amulet passed down through generations, a key to controlling the darkness. It was said to hold a fragment of the light that could keep the shadow at bay. Claire touched the spot where Evelyn had written about the pendant. "If this is true, then I need to find it." The search for the pendant. The next day, Claire, Thomas, and Sam began a careful search of the house. They started with the attic and basement, moving through every crevice, every forgotten corner. Sam explained, the pendant was hidden away for safety, probably in a place only someone from your family would know. Claire's mind raced. Her fingers traced the carvings on the basement walls, the faded symbols her great-grandmother had described. She recalled a lullaby her grandmother sang, one her great-grandmother had taught her, a melody that spoke of light guarding darkness. "Maybe the song is a clue," Claire said softly. Together, they followed the clues. They discovered a loose stone beneath the basement floorboard, revealing a small, dust-covered wooden box. Inside lay a pendant. Silver, etched with the same symbols on the walls, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Claire held the pendant carefully. It felt warm, pulsing softly, like a heartbeat. The pendant's power. When Claire wore the pendant, the house seemed to breathe easier. The oppressive weight lifted, and the shadows didn't linger as long. But the pendant also came with visions, flickering images of past guardians, warnings, and glimpses of the shadow's true nature. One night, Claire dreamed of a figure cloaked in darkness, whispering her name, promising power but demanding sacrifice. She woke with a start, clutching the pendant tightly. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered to Thomas. "You don't have to do it alone," he said, taking her hand. The shadows return. Despite the pendant's protection, the shadow was not defeated. Strange things began happening, lights flickering, cold spots in rooms, whispers in the silence. One evening, Claire found a strange symbol drawn in dust on the kitchen floor, something she hadn't seen before. It was a warning. Sam confirmed her fear. It's a sign that the shadow's followers are here, those who want to unleash it again. They realized the danger was not just the shadow beneath the house, but people on the outside who wanted its power. Allies and enemies. As the days passed, Claire, Thomas, and Sam worked to strengthen the seal, using the knowledge in Evelyn's journal and the pendant's power. But they weren't alone. A mysterious woman appeared in the village, asking questions about the old house. Claire felt an icy chill whenever the woman was near, sensing a darkness wrapped in charm. The woman introduced herself as Miriam, a historian and collector of ancient artifacts. At first, she seemed helpful, offering to research the house's history. But Claire's instincts warned her otherwise. One night, Claire overheard Miriam speaking in the village square, warning others of the dangerous curse in the house, urging them to stay away. It was clear, Miriam wanted the shadow's power for herself. The final confrontation. The tension built as the shadow's followers gathered, and the seal weakened. Claire knew a final confrontation was inevitable. One stormy night, much like the first, the shadow surged again, stronger and more terrifying. The house shook, doors slammed, and the basement hatch burst open. Claire, Thomas, and Sam prepared themselves. Armed with the pendant, the knowledge of the past, and their unbreakable will, they descended into the darkness for the final battle. Miriam appeared, wielding dark magic, trying to control the shadow for her own ends. The battle was fierce, the house itself groaning under the strain. Claire called upon the pendant's light, her ancestors' strength flowing through her veins. With a blinding flash, the shadow was sealed once and for all. Miriam disappeared into the night, her threat lingering like a shadow on the horizon. A new beginning. With dawn's light filtering through the windows, Claire felt the weight of her new role settle on her shoulders. She was no longer just a woman living in a mysterious house. She was the guardian of a legacy, the protector of a secret older than the town itself. And as she looked out over the quiet village, she knew this was only the beginning. Claire sat by the window in her family's old living room, the pendant resting heavy against her chest beneath her shirt. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the creaky wooden floor, but inside, a storm still raged in her mind. The battle with the shadow was over, or so she hoped, but the scars it left on her soul were far from healed. Outside, the village awoke, oblivious to the darkness that had nearly swallowed her whole just nights before. Birds sang, children laughed in the streets, and shopkeepers prepared for another day. Life moved on, but Claire knew better, the shadows never fully fade. The aftermath. Days passed with a fragile peace. The house seemed lighter, less oppressive. The pendant's glow had dimmed but remained a steady comfort. Thomas and Sam stayed close, offering their support as Claire began to learn what it truly meant to be the guardian. But the calm was deceptive. Strange occurrences started creeping back into daily life. Objects shifted mysteriously, whispers haunted the quiet moments, and an uneasy feeling settled like a cloud over Claire's heart. It was as if the shadow had left a mark, a lingering echo of its presence. Claire confided in Thomas one evening. "It's not over, is it?" Thomas shook his head, his expression grave. "No. It's like a wound that's healed on the surface but still aches beneath." Sam added, "We sealed the shadow, but the darkness inside the land, inside the house, it's old. It adapts, waits for a chance." Claire clenched her fists. "Then we have to be ready." The village murmurs. Rumors began swirling through the village. People spoke of strange lights flickering in Claire's house at night, of eerie sounds drifting through the air. Some whispered of curses. others of haunted bloodlines. Claire knew the truth was far more complicated, but the villagers' fear was real and growing. The local priest, Father Matthews, approached her cautiously. "I sense a great burden on you, Claire," he said one afternoon. "The village feels it too. If there's anything I can do to help, you only need to ask." Claire hesitated. She wanted to trust him but wasn't sure if his faith would be enough to confront what they faced. "I appreciate that, Father," she replied carefully. "But this is something I have to handle alone." Father Matthews nodded slowly. "Sometimes, strength comes in numbers. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself." His words lingered long after he left. Visions of the past. That night, Claire's dreams were invaded again. This time, the visions were clearer, more vivid. She saw her great-grandmother Evelyn performing a ritual deep in the woods behind the house, a circle of stones glowing faintly beneath the moonlight. Evelyn's voice echoed in the darkness, "The light protects the land, but balance must be kept. The past will rise again if the pact is broken." Claire awoke with a start, heart pounding. The pendant around her neck pulsed softly, as if responding to the dream. She shared the vision with Thomas and Sam the next morning. "We have to find that stone circle," Claire insisted. "If Evelyn was there, maybe the ritual site holds answers." Into the woods. The trio set out into the dense forest behind the house, the canopy thick and the air heavy with moisture. Every step deeper into the woods felt like stepping further from the world Claire had known. After hours of searching, just as the sun began to dip toward the horizon, they found it, a circle of ancient stones, half swallowed by moss and earth. The stones hummed faintly with energy, and Claire felt the pendant grow warmer. Sam knelt beside one stone, brushing away dirt and leaves. "This is sacred ground. It's tied to the balance between light and dark. That ritual was meant to renew the seal, reinforce the pact." Thomas looked around warily. "If that balance breaks again, what happens?" Sam's voice was low and grim. "Chaos. The shadow could escape its prison and spread beyond the house, to the whole village, maybe even farther." Claire's fingers closed tighter around the pendant. "Then we have to perform the ritual. We have to keep the balance." Preparing the ritual. Back at the house, Claire pored over Evelyn's journal and other old texts, piecing together the ancient ceremony. It required rare herbs, a specific arrangement of candles, and the pendant as the focal point of light. As they prepared, Claire's anxiety grew. The responsibility was immense, and failure was unthinkable. On the night of the ritual, the storm clouds gathered again, lightning cracking across the sky. The air buzzed with tension. The trio made their way back to the stone circle, candles flickering in Claire's hands. She placed the pendant at the center of the circle, feeling its warmth spread through the cold night air. Following Evelyn's instructions, they lit the candles, arranged the herbs, and began the incantation, their voices weaving together in a haunting melody. The battle renewed. As the ritual progressed, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low growl echoed through the trees, the shadow was stirring again, drawn to the light. From the darkness, a swirling mass of black smoke emerged, twisting and writhing with fury. It surged toward the circle, tendrils reaching for the pendant. Claire stood firm, channeling her will through the amulet, the glow intensifying with each word spoken. Thomas and Sam held back the advancing darkness with wards of salt and ancient symbols. The shadow screamed in rage, the night filled with its fury. At the ritual's climax, Claire raised the pendant high, the light exploding outward in a brilliant burst, pushing the shadow back into the depths of the earth. A new guardian. Exhausted and breathless, Claire collapsed to her knees. The ritual had worked, but she knew it was only temporary. As dawn broke, she realized the truth. This was no longer just about protecting a house or a village. The darkness was part of something bigger, something that had been intertwined with her family for generations. She was the guardian, not just of the house, but of the balance between light and dark itself. Thomas placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone. We'll face whatever comes together." Sam nodded. "The shadow's power is ancient, but so is the light you carry." Claire looked at the rising sun, the pendant gleaming softly against her chest. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready. The morning sun painted golden streaks across the sky, but Claire felt the chill of the unseen storm gathering within her heart. The ritual at the stone circle had temporarily pushed back the shadow, but the true threat was far from over. Every day since the ceremony, she sensed the dark forces sharpening their claws, preparing for something larger, something that could unravel everything she had fought to protect. An unexpected visitor. As Claire prepared breakfast, a knock at the door startled her. Thomas and Sam were out in the garden tending to herbs for the next ritual, leaving her momentarily alone. She opened the door to find an older man, his eyes sharp and steady beneath thick brows, dressed in a long dark coat with subtle symbols embroidered on the cuffs. "I'm looking for Claire Dawson," he said quietly. "That's me," Claire replied, wary but curious. "Who are you?" "My name is Elias Gray. I've been tracking disturbances of the kind your family has kept hidden for generations." Claire stepped back to let him in, sensing the urgency in his voice. "I'm part of a group called the Keepers, guardians like you, scattered across the world, protecting the balance between light and shadow." Thomas and Sam returned as she spoke, exchanging cautious glances. Elias continued, "Your recent battle stirred forces beyond this village. There are others, those who seek to control the shadow, not seal it. You're not alone in this fight." The Keepers' Council. Elias explained that the Keepers operated in secret, communicating through ancient networks, sharing knowledge and resources. Their mission was to maintain balance, preventing darkness from overwhelming the world. He invited Claire, Thomas, and Sam to a hidden meeting in a nearby city, a place where guardians gathered to strategize. Though apprehensive, Claire knew she had to learn more if she was to protect her home and the world beyond. Journey to the Hidden City. The next morning, the trio set out with Elias, traveling through winding forest paths and forgotten roads until they reached a concealed entrance beneath an old cathedral. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with history and power. Walls lined with relics, symbols glowing faintly in the dim light. At the heart of the chamber stood a circle of keepers, faces solemn and eyes filled with centuries of knowledge. Claire felt a mix of awe and fear as Elias introduced her. "You carry a rare light," the council leader said, "a woman with silver hair and piercing eyes. The bloodline of Dawson is key to the coming conflict." Revelations and warnings. The council shared ancient prophecies foretelling a time when the shadow would seek to break free completely, plunging the world into darkness. "Your pendant is a beacon," the leader explained. "It holds a fragment of the original pact's power, but it is only part of the whole." Claire learned there were other artifacts, pieces of the light scattered across the globe, each guarded by a different lineage. If these fragments fall into the wrong hands, the shadow's power could be unleashed fully. Claire's heart pounded. The stakes were higher than she had imagined. Training and preparation. Over the next weeks, Claire and her companions trained with the Keepers, learning to harness the pendant's power, to sense and combat shadow creatures, and to strengthen the seals that bound darkness. Claire's confidence grew, but so did the sense of urgency. Reports arrived of shadow tendrils emerging in distant towns, spreading corruption and fear. One night, while practicing a binding ritual, Claire was visited by a vision of Miriam, the dark woman who had once tried to control the shadow. "She's gathering followers," Claire warned the council. "She wants the pendant, and the other artifacts. A race against time." The council decided to send emissaries to locate the other fragments before Miriam and her followers could seize them. Claire, Thomas, and Sam volunteered to lead the search for one such artifact rumored to lie hidden beneath an ancient monastery in the mountains. Elias handed Claire a map marked with cryptic symbols. This journey will test you, he warned. But you are the key to stopping what's coming. Into the mountains. Claire's heart raced as they ascended into the cold, mist-covered mountains. The monastery was a relic of forgotten times, its stone walls covered in vines and secrets. Inside, they faced puzzles and traps designed to protect the artifact. Claire's knowledge of ancient symbols and Evelyn's journal proved invaluable. After days of searching, they discovered a hidden chamber beneath the altar. There, resting on a pedestal, was a crystal orb glowing with soft, pure light. The orb's power. Claire reached out and touched the orb, feeling a surge of warmth and clarity. Visions flooded her mind, images of past guardians, battles fought, and the fragile balance they maintained. But the orb also revealed a darker truth: Miriam was closer than they feared, moving swiftly to gather power. Suddenly, the chamber trembled as shadow creatures attacked, trying to reclaim the orb. The battle for the orb. The fight was fierce. Claire and her companions wielded the pendant's light and the orb's energy, pushing back the shadows. Thomas fought fiercely with his knowledge of ancient wards, and Sam's strength kept the creatures at bay. But the creatures were relentless. Just as they seemed overwhelmed, Claire combined the orb's power with the pendant's glow, unleashing a wave of light that banished the shadows from the chamber. Breathless and victorious, they knew this was just the beginning. A future unwritten. Back at the Keeper's Council, Claire placed the orb alongside the pendant. The fragments' combined power strengthened the seal, but the war was far from over. Miriam's shadow loomed, her intentions clear. Claire looked around at her allies, determination burning in her eyes. "We fight for the light," she said. "For the balance. For everyone." Thomas and Sam nodded. Elias smiled faintly. "The true battle is coming. But with you leading, there's hope."